The Eccleshill Carnival goes back well over 100 years. It came to a halt during the Great War of 1914-1918, as it was felt people shouldn't be seen overly enjoying themselves whilst their young men, sons, brothers, husbands and uncles were being killed in the trenches over in France. It wasn't until 1922 when the villagers felt comfortable within their community to reinstate this annual event. In this short film, we can see the Edwardian Eccleshillians pushing the boat out towards having a great day of jollity. The film itself may well have been captured on a hand-cranked Moy and Basti motion picture camera of the type seen here. "93 years later, the 21st century Elizabethan Eccleshillians are today holding their third annual event, which they call the Eccleshill Village Fair. I arrive early to film the stallholders setting up their goods and wares. However, there's a bit of a gusty wind blowing on this mid-July day, and the sky above is cloudy and looking threatening. It's amazing what you can fit into the boot of a car these days. Well, I chuckled. Leaving the girls to celebrate their tombola win, I'm heading over to the Mechanics Institute. The Institute acts as Eccleshill's local community centre, and today Eccleshill's very own Historical Society, which meets every 2 weeks, is opening its historical archives for public viewing, and as its most recent and youngest member, I said I would pop along and help out for an hour or so. I often mention in these videos that I'm not an historian or an archaeologist, which is true, but I do know how interesting and important local history is. Take for example, the village fair is advertised as being held on the local Delph. Delph, it's an old English term meaning a hole, a pit or a quarry. The history of the Delph, or the Mount as it was known over 175 years ago, is quite an interesting one. Today the Delph looks like this, but 200 years ago it formed part of Eccleshill Moor, common land which could be used by the common people of Eccleshill for the grazing of livestock. This land was then legally stolen from the poor commoners, divided up and given to the richer members of Eccleshill under an Act of Parliament known as the Enclosure Act. By the latter half of the 19th century, Stony Lane Quarry is being shown on local maps. It's interesting to note just how close the quarry face came to the edge of the then recently built Mechanics Institute and the top of Stony Lane itself. Today, the area looks like this, but over 140 years ago, it may well have looked like this, and the quarry may also have been hidden by advertising hoardings. There was only the one way into or out of the quarry, and that was through the gap between the Royal Oak and the then grocer's shop. At the back of the Royal Oak there was a blacksmith's forge where quarrying tools would have been made, repaired, sharpened and serviced. Local census records for the 19th and early 20th century reveal a large number of delvers, quarrymen and stonemasons living in Eccleshill, and I'll bet quite a few of them were regulars of the Royal Oak. By the start of the 20th century, that part of Stony Lane Quarry had been infilled, new roads and streets constructed, and new buildings and homes erected. And by the time of the First World War, the quarry was then owned by the Dixon brothers. Back at the village fair, things are getting well underway, but the strong wind is causing problems for some. You get the idea.